Hi, this is Majnu, and this is example number 6 of the series How to Attack. And in this example we see a so-called pawn storm or pawn's avalanche. We see this idea of attacking sometimes against the king's Indian defense, for example in the Samish variation with f3 preparing g4 and h4 against the castled king of black on the king side. And in this example actually I found it very clear because this position has all what white needs to start a pawn storm on the king side by playing g4 and g5. And what's actually needed is that black cannot counterattack in the center and also not on the queen side, because pawn storms, advancing these pawns on the king side, actually it costs quite a lot of time. Attacking with the pieces is mostly more dynamic, and advancing the pawns you need more time to do that. So when you start a pawn storm you need to be sure that the opponent doesn't have any fast way of counterattacking in the center or in the queen side. Now let's have a look at this game. It's a position from the game between Karl Schlechter and Siegbert Tarrasch in Monte Carlo 1903, and it's white to move here, and as I told you, white starts here with a pawn storm with g4. So another thing actually that is in favor of white is that white already has a pawn on f5, so this makes it even easier to advance this g pawn to g5 and try to open up the position, open up files for the attack. Black played here knight to c5, and because of the fact that black cannot really have any strong dynamic attack on the center or on the queen side, white has a lot of time to keep his pieces safe. So for example this knight on c5 is attacking the bishop on d3, and white doesn't need to hurry by advancing the pawn to g5 now. No, what Schlechter did is to play bishop to b1, so he wants to keep this light squared bishop in this long diagonal to use it for the attack, and he's not worried about black's counterplay because there is no dynamic counterplay. Here a5 was played by black, and again patiently white moved king to h1. So what white is doing is making this g1 square available for a rook that can be used for this attack. Knight f to d7 was played, and now g5. f6 is not the best defense, but it was what was played in the game, and white answered h4. So now we see these pawns slowly advancing, giving more pressure to the defense of the black king. Bishop to f8, rook to g1 according to plan. Now black doesn't have really much to do, so the bishop goes back to e7, and now white starts bringing more pieces to the king side by playing queen to h5. So the idea is to play g6. Just imagine playing g6. Black will not want to open this structure by taking on g6, so if he plays h6 to try to fix the pawns and keep everything closed, then there is a possible bishop sacrifice with bishop takes h6, breaking this defense open of black. So that's why here black played knight to f8, trying to bring more pieces into the defense, defending h7 and defending a bit g6 as well. Rook to g3 was played. It was here possible already to play bishop takes c5, but in the game it was played one move later, and it actually doesn't matter much, because with rook to g3 white is playing according to plan, making again this g1 square available for the next rook and having two rooks on this g file. And maybe this is the difference between human players and computers. If you put this position, this one, in a computer engine, then the computer tells you that bishop takes c5 is winning. And it's true, bishop takes c5 is winning. After d takes c5, then playing d6. And now the thing is that the rook cannot take d6, because then the other rook falls on e8. The bishop cannot take, because if bishop takes d6, then f6 doesn't have enough support. So g takes f6 is terrible for black because of this attack here. And finally, queen takes d6. In that case, the knight comes to e4, attacking the queen and attacking f6 once more. So this is a very strong continuation. But as I said, we humans, we think in terms of plans, logical plans, and computers are better at calculating complicated continuations. And in the game, rook to g3 was played. After rook to a8, now the white player, Karl Schlechter, found this idea of bishop takes c5, and he played it here. Bishop takes c5, d takes c5, and then d6. So the same calculation that the computer makes one move earlier, it can wait one move. There's absolutely no problem. Queen takes, and now knight to e4, attacking the queen. The queen went to d8, and now rook to d1 was played. So this rook on d1 attacking the queen, and in this position black resigned, and we can see that there is no possible defense actually. Let's consider a few possibilities. Well, first of all, what if the queen moves away from there? Queen to c7. Well, in that case, f6 becomes more vulnerable. So g takes f, and if bishop takes, then simply knight takes, check. And if the king goes to h8, we simply take the rook here. And white has won much material here. And let's have a look at another option. Another one could be blocking this file. For example, knight to d7. In that case, this knight is protecting f6, but is pinned as well. So the idea now for white is to try to find a way to take here. This f6 pawn is defended by three pieces: this pawn, this bishop, the queen, and the knight. Now the knight doesn't really count because it's pinned now. So we need to, in order to be able to take on f6, we need to diminish the amount of defenders. And in this position there is a sacrifice possible to achieve that, and that's rook takes d7. Because after queen takes d7, now this f6 pawn is only defended twice. So now g takes f6 is possible, and the black position collapses completely. If the bishop goes away to d8, for example, then simply rook takes g7 wins the queen and the game. Later also the rook on e8 falls. So this is the example that I wanted to show you about this idea of the pawn storm, that in this example starts with the move g4 here. And please remember that a pawn storm costs time. So a pawn storm is only possible and successful if the opponent doesn't have dynamic counterplay in the center or on the queen side. So that's what I wanted to show you for now, and the next example will follow soon. Alright, thanks, and leave your comments on YouTube. Goodbye.